for the metaverse? And does any of you have a background information about what we do as Sensory or as Elizor? Are you familiar with the industry of metaverse? What is your experience? Maybe we can hear a bit more from you.
Cool.
Come on, guys, don't be shy. It's going to be a long journey for all of us.
We are live, finally.
Hello.
Cool.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello, Arjun. We can listen to you. That's nice.
Yeah. So I think I am aware of Begum's. I mean, when I read the profile of Begum's, she is a co-founder of Illuser. So I have been following Illuser for quite a long time. I have chatted with Oleg Soroko, and I am really a fan of his works. And I'm also connected with Aman for a long time. And recently I realized that I have been connected with Aman for a long time. We are following each other on Instagram. We like each other's works. We keep on messaging each other. And I think Pedro, I think you are I did not check. I think you are the same Pedro. I'll just, because I'm connected with only one Pedro on Instagram. I think you are the same.
Hopefully I am, yes.
I think you are Pedro Rodríguez.
Yes, exactly the same.
Yes, you are the same. Yeah, I just saw your profile. Okay, yeah, we are also connected with each other. We have. I'll just send a hi there. So.
That's cool, man.
So I think I know all of you. So yes, I don't have very detailed information about Metaverse. I have like brief information. I have been into NFTs since last year. I sold 3 of my NFTs, and there are people who are making multiple. I mean, there is no single metaverse. There are people building multiple metaverses of their own. They are creating game environment. Where people can buy utility items. They can buy assets. They are creating virtual worlds. So that's a very gist kind of. I mean, a kind of overview that I have about Metaverse. So that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's nice, Arjun. Welcome aboard. Welcome. Please feel free to join the middle link, please. And there you will find tons of emails. Try to look for yours and please fill the empty space, please. Okay. Okay. Who else wants to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jing, and I'm the student from the UCL. My program is architecture computation, and actually my project in the postgraduate is make some interactive and architecture in the Unity, and I used C# and something like that. So I'm quite interested in the Unreal Engine. I'm very interested how it works with the Metaverse.
Cool. Nice. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Who else? Who else wants to introduce you?
Hi everyone, I'm Leila. I'm glad to be here. And well, my very recent experience in Metaverse world was a DigitalFUTURES recent workshop, crypto voxel in Metaverse, and that was kind of cool. I'd like it.
So you know how to implement models into crypto voxel?
Yeah, kind
of. That's nice. Nice.
Wow.
I mean, that's nice.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Welcome. Who else? I mean, it's not required you to introduce yourself, but we all want to know you.
Okay. Hi guys. I'm Kai.
Hi, Kai.
I have the same background with Xiaojing. came from UCL and study architectural computation and focus on the interactive architectural design. But for me, also focus on the something like mixed reality, also wearable systems, wearable robotics to increase and augment the feeling of the environment. Yeah, and I can also use C# and also Unity, and I'm a new guy with Unreal, and I'm also a new guy with Illustrator. I just joined Illustrator last week.
That's nice. That's nice. Oh, by the way, Unity is welcome here. Don't feel shy. If you know how to use Unity, it's completely welcome here. We are going to play with Unreal, but feel free to use Unity, please. Nice.
It's good to see Illusoran in here. No? Yeah.
That's nice. Yes. Okay. Who else? For us, maybe you are next in my viewport.
Is this the same presentation that we were supposed to show our cast?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
If you want to share something, oh, okay, man. We were not expecting that. I was having a bad moment trying to solve the technical issue. So we start by doing this. So if you want to share your screen, please.
Yeah,
go
exactly.
ahead.
I was preparing my pet pictures, so I was waiting for this moment.
Sorry, man. Please do it. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Just that. Okay. All right. Never mind. All right. Can you see my picture?
No, yeah. Oh, that's nice. 12 slides.
I mean, no, I did. I literally just made it 5 minutes ago, guys.
That's nice. That's nice. Please go ahead.
You shouldn't have said that.
I sent an email asking all the students to make a very short 2-minute presentations, and so please go on.
All right. What's my name? I'm Faraz Alian, and also happy Pride since the rainbow. Where I come from, I'm currently based in London, UK, but I originally come from Iran, Tehran. I had my bachelor's in University of Tehran. Now I'm at BioID UCL. Works I did, well, in the past 2 years in UCL BioID, I've been working on mostly bio-integrated designs. We are working on microbiosis. These are the ones that I shared on the Digital Future website. We are working on the interior and the microbiome of the interior design, and also Xerilith. We are working with an alternative for green walls in the desert environment. My hobbies, I'm into reading. I read fiction mostly. Right now I'm reading Norwegian Woods by Murakami. Music, I'm mostly into electronic music, camping, and I'm a big fan of coffee. Favorite software, I worked with Houdini. I started using Houdini like 2.5 years ago. About 2 years ago, I started using Vex and C#, and recently I started using Maya and Unreal Engine. And also, yeah, cat pics. I don't have a cat, but I have a golden retriever, which everybody just says that it's basically a cat. So this is my golden retriever.
That's nice, man.
Cute.
You took
Nice.
the email very serious. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. yeah, Begum, that was a requirement in the email. They should share their pets pictures. Yes. Pets. Thank you for us. Thank you so much.
Did I stop sharing?
Oh, not yet.
Not
I can
yet.
see your beautiful duck.
Haven't worked with Zoom in such a long time.
I think I can stop you. Let me. Nice, I did it. Now we know that you have a beautiful duck. Nice. So who's next? I see Xiao Xin. I think you're next in my viewport.
Yeah, okay. Hi everyone. My name is Xiao. Xiaojing. Everyone can call me Xiao, and I'm majoring in Master of Architecture, and I'm the second-year student in SciArc, the South California Institution of Architecture in America. And my favorite software, I think I have two favorite software. One is Grasshopper, is efficiency for architecture, and the second one is Unreal. I think it's powerful. It can make games or make or even film. So I want. Oh, sir, I'm interested in Houdini too, but I'm the new guys in Houdini, so I want to learn about it this studio. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I don't feel bad if you don't know how to use Houdini. We are all here to get familiar with the software. So be mindful that here you will find some colleagues that know actually how to use Houdini. So the idea is to share experience between us. Okay, but that's nice. That's nice. Welcome. Okay. So I think next is Daniel. Oh, Daniel, you're next.
Okay, can you hear me?
Pretty well.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna share my screen. Just a second.
Nice.
Now, of course, I take the presentation really seriously.
That's great.
And that's great.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Pretty nice. Please share screen.
Okay, so
cool.
My name is Daniel Sorial. I'm Egyptian, but I have a very Spanish/Italian name. Nice. I don't know why. This is where I grew up from in Egypt. It's a small coastal town, and I recently graduated IAC. And I didn't have pictures for the project, but I was researching neuroscience and architecture, and those are Rhino and Grasshopper for sure. The softwares that I'm more familiar with, and recently I've been using Unreal Engine and Houdini. I'm a newbie in Houdini. And I'm sorry I'm not a cat person, but this is Lily. She's my dog.
Oh, man.
I'm a dog person.
You are not a cat person. Sorry, man. Bye.
Sadly,
I'm the dog person.
No, that's nice. That's nice.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you and welcome. Okay, who's next? I think it's Aika. Did I pronounce well your name? Aika? Aisha? Aisha? I think it's Aisha. Aisha. Sorry.
Yeah.
I never knew how to pronounce your name. Sorry.
No problem. Hi guys. I'm Ayça Güçlü. I'm attending the workshop from Turkey, Istanbul, and I graduated from Cinema and Television Istanbul University in 2020, and also in 2018 I decided to join the Visual Communication and Design program at the same university. And now I'm a fourth grade student. The reason why I want to combine the education and knowledge I received in these two undergraduate departments is that my passion for the visual worlds is multi-layered. At the same time, while I like to create these visual worlds, both in the frame and in the digital environment. And also, by manipulating images with algorithmic designs, I pose spatiality and spatial issues on perception and sensor progression. Nice. And I'm designing on this progressing in the academic part as well. In addition, I work by combining the visual and design work with different disciplines such as philosophy and psychoanalysis. With education I received from the Cultural Studies Master's Program at Istanbul University. Also, I took a break from master's program for a short time as I need to focus on my graduate project right now. How perception and senses should be active in these areas, which is my graduation project in the Department of Visual Communication and Design. And special process in the creation of alternative design areas. I focus on the impact of architectural readings by working with psychologists, architects, and designers. I'm designed by making use of architectural, philosophical, and artistic approaches, design disciplines, and so on. And I'm currently doing my internship as a multimedia and conceptual designer at Sensory, Photolabs organization. Trying to specialize in VR, 3D design, creative coding, video and visual design. And also to design with an architectural approach. I believe I have a long way to go in improving myself, and I'm on my way to make up for it by working every day. I also work as a freelance camera assistant in a Times Against Demo project. And Begum Aydinoglu has also been my instructor in last term. I'm so lucky to have met her and that she trusts me. And of course, I'm also really happy to meet you. And my favorite programs, level 4, the After Effects, Premiere, Illustrator, Photoshop, Unreal Engine also, and processing.
Nice.
Yeah, Houdini, Touch Designer, Rhino 7, DaVinci Resolve is the beginner level for me, and I love them. And also, let me show my project.
Sure.
Just a moment.
Sure.
I'm trying to share my screen. Do you see?
Yep.
So, yes.
Yeah. Firstly, I did some projects by creating coding in process through the sample between physical and digital. Architecture and visualization and abstract, three concepts are combined them, and future of creative coding and story behind. This problem is that is the issue of dwelling. These are 3D assets. Begum Aydinoglu gives them for us to create some creative coding process. These are codes, and the other portfolio, some colleges, and some photographs. This is a game design, a group design project, not actually game design, experience, immersive experience design. It's called Humanity Chances. This project includes story arc, storyboard, sensor map, emotion map. These are so important for us. And also after that, 4 atmospheres are created by us. People can experience in them. And photographs, photography, I'm taking pictures of, designing posters, data visualization, and logo and branding design, and also. So, last one. And some short films.
Wow.
That's impressive. I think your portfolio is better than mine. Yeah, by far.
Oh, thank you.
Impressive. Very nice.
Thank you. I'm sure that.
Cool.
I worked as a writer, photographer, and editor and colorist also with some people. That's it.
That's cool. That's impressive. Really impressive.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Visualization and representation are core attributes for design in the metaverse. We will be there soon. For those who are joining now, please feel free to join our board in Miro. Aman, can you share the screen again? The link again, please.
Yeah,
I think someone joined. Nice. Who's next? I think is Jiao Wang. Did I say your name correctly? I'm really bad at pronouncing Asian words, by the way.
Hi,
Hi.
My name is Eo. I will type the pronunciation in the chat. It's like EO.
Yeah. Thank you. That's better for me. EO.
Nice to meet you all. I'm sorry I did not put a particular presentation slide because I didn't know that I didn't know some people made slides. I'm currently joining from Lund, Sweden, and I'm originally from China. I'm currently a student at the Harvard GSD studying architecture, but I also have a background in game design and multimedia art, which is the direction that I'm passionate in. Namely, I'm interested in game because I think game mechanics is very interesting as a mode of interaction because it is non-utilitarian, but it fascinates people. And exploring different game mechanics also informs spatial design. That's architecture, my background. And I'm also interested in like bioart and biophilic multimedia art forms, especially in AR and VR, mixing the virtual with the physical reality.
Nice.
And also, I'm a fan of Houdini. I'm recently, I have a recent new interest, which is digital fashion. And I wish to, just now when other people are presenting, I put together something that I can share my screen.
Yeah, sure. If you're interested in digital fashion, you can work in Pixar. You know, Pixar has their own department of digital fashion. They design their own software for creating clothes for their avatars for every movie. Yeah.
That is very interesting.
They invented that profession, the digital fashion. Yeah, digital fashion design, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. I will definitely check it out.
Yeah,
so
nice.
This is not my portfolio. It's just something I put together in like 1 minute.
That's impressive for 1 minute. You're ready for finals.
No. I'm going to share 3 projects. The first project is called Moviemates. It's done last year during the COVID lockdown when I couldn't go to work when my visa was denied because of COVID. So basically, I tried to explore the idea. I'm a fan of Jonathan Blow, if anybody has heard of him, a game designer. So inspired by Jonathan Blow and Game of Life, the Conway's Game of Life, I'm basically interested in the idea of a complex system consisting of very simple and elementary rules. So what I did was to find a universal shape that could be replicated onto a field to form a maze. And in the maze, there are 4 major spatial types and blah, blah, blah. So I made a moving maze in which it is a turn-based game. So the single player takes a move and then the maze itself can move accordingly to obstruct the player from finding the way out. Memory Miner is another art game that I made, and it also accompanies a comic. I like comic and graphic novel. I like drawing, but I like storytelling better. And this is a VR game in which you actually see yourself in the third person view, and you are an astronaut walking on a memory reserve called the Ark, taken from Noah's Ark. It is supposed to be post-apocalyptic reserve of the human memories, and then you can encounter different memory capsules, and then gain points by a mechanism. This is the third and final project that I want to share. I'm interested in the idea of metamorphosis and mixed enthalpy. Basically, metamorphosis, we all know what it means. Mixed enthalpy, it is formed by mix and anthrop, which is the root for human. It means the multiplistic and fluid ways of the transformational body of the human, which usually goes in the intermediate states between humans and non-human animals, which I'm very interested in. I think it represents different states of the mind because this transformation between human and animals, which is seen in multiple religious tales and folklores and fairy tales and mythologies, is almost universal to all cultures on Earth. And I think there is something interesting and worth exploring in the idea of the transformational human body, because in essence, the intermediate states between each definitive state represents the volatility of our mind, which change in time, so that it is a mechanism, not any kind of species, but a mechanism that the identity is embodied in the movement of the mind. So in this is an animation project, and it is done by combining mocap data done by my collaborator and myself. So we did a mocap in which we performed gestures that imitate a human's locomotion, and when the surface or the morphology changes into another kind of being, we kind of we imagined the movement of the other being and tried to imitate that. So it's an animation that links motion with morphological changes. So that is all that I have here.
Nice.
I'm interested in this workshop because I want to explore possibilities in NFT.
That's nice. I mean, you can give economical value with the art to the art that you have right now. That's impressive. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Welcome. And who's next? I think it's Alex Catherine. Did I say it right? Your name?
Yes, you said the right name.
Yes.
I'm sorry I don't have
no worries.
Presentation.
No worries.
No worries. To show you, I didn't have time to make it.
No worries.
I come from France, French. I come from architecture, but I also come from music. So I'm very interested in immersive installation during shows, visual shows with music. So my goal is combine architecture and music together during VJing shows. So actually, I'm learning a touch designer as well. My favorite soft is Houdini. I love it. But I'm also beginning to work with a touch designer at the same time. And I'm very, very interested in Metaverse world. Voilà. Oh, I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm back. As a musician, have you ever tried to link a MIDI keyboard with Houdini?
Yes, I begin to do it, but it's very experimental things.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to use controllers to try to animate the graphics. Yes.
Yes, I remember I watched some experiments about it, but I found it really hard to imitate. But nice that you get it. Nice to get it. Thank you. Welcome. I think there is someone missing. Miguel Angel Jimenez. Is it okay?
Hello. Yes.
Hello. Nice.
Sorry,
welcome.
But yeah, is it okay if I share my screen?
Please do it.
Have my...
That's why we are here.
Okay, I think it's on right now.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Miguel. I'm from Mexico. I'm based in London, and Well, I'm an architect, and recently I finished a master's degree in computation in the Bartlett. So I've been way more engaged into coding and all the parametrism and well, game engines as well in my practice, in my experience. So this is some of the work I've done. This is my thesis from my studies in the Bartlett, which I finished this December, so fairly recent. I did a research on the applications of computer science in, well, gaming algorithms. So algorithms that are used in video games to create procedural content in architectural design. And I did a configurator that, well, basically grabs different pieces and uses them as inputs within an interface with a UI. And well, it iterates, generates different design variations for the user. This is some other things I did during my studies as well. This was done with Grasshopper and Kangaroo, a little simulation it was more about form finding. So we're trying to create this from the research studio. We were trying to create a habitable structure that was movable, so you could transfer it, but it had to be rigid. So we came up with this house, well, this little structure that bends with active plates and bending rods through robotic actuators. So again, well, it was a lot about code here. These are some explorations of well, modeling geometry with code, with algorithms. So the first one is, well, these are two common algorithms. The first one is from cellular automata. This one's done with L systems. This is, well, geometry, parametric geometry. This is from also, I adapted some Houdini algorithms I found into Grasshopper, into C# components that run through the same logic and create parametric geometry. Yeah, well, also some other uses of genetic algorithms within Grasshopper and Octopus. And
nice.
Here's some of the architecture projects that I've worked on recently as well. And that's Public Plaza. I'm just jumping down to to the visualization part of my work. I've been using Unreal Engine for architectural visualization for about 4 or 5 years, and slowly getting more into blueprints, code, and what can be done with Unreal. So yeah, this is a lot of visualization work from well, regular pipelines from 3ds Max, V-Ray, Photoshop, and some are done with Unreal Engine, like this one.
Nice.
Yep, I think that's all. and
that's super cool.
And some animations, and that's all.
Yep. You're going to be our coding guru.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I don't know.
I saw that you also been playing with wave function collapse algorithm. Did you, where did you work with it? I mean, did you work with did you create the code yourself, or did you use it with Monoceros, for example?
Monoceros was part of it was my thesis, so it was quite extensive, the research.
Oh.
And I saw Monoceros as one of the, let's say, cases of study cases. And because Rhinoceros is open source, I was able to actually just download all the code and see how it worked. And I but no, it was done on C# and Unity.
Nice.
It was with C# and Unity. But yeah, I did use Monoceros as reference. That's cool, I also used another plugin for Unity, which is called Tessera, and that one I used a bit more because it was already on Unity, and I could just go into the code and see how it worked as well.
Oh, nice, man. Pretty impressive your work. Nice. Okay, so I think we already introduced ourselves, so I think now is our time. Now I will share screen. We are running on time. We don't have too much time, so we need to run. Okay, guys, thank you all of you to join our workshop. This is the first time we are here in Digital Future, and hopefully this is our first but not last time. So that's why we decided to call this Liquid Architecture in Metaverse episode 1, because we are expecting to have more episodes. With you, where are the cats? We will be, we three will be here helping you. Begum Aydinoglu, who I think she's here, Pedro Venegas, who is me, and Aman Sasan. Aman, as me, are students from the Design Morphines program. So we just recently finished our master. So we are really fresh. We're really fresh. We are really excited about computational design concepts and tips and tricks. So what we are expecting to do this week, I know we have just 5 days. It's not too much. So we are going to be really ambitious about what we want to approach at the end of this week. But we will try to share with you some theoretical concepts that we consider are relevant in the way we design for Metaverse. I know relating, regarding the Metaverse, there are tons of ways to approach the Metaverse, the designing Metaverse. Okay, so we will just be sticked to a very particular concept of how to design Metaverse as liquid. Okay.
Hello, this is Miguel. Hello. Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes,
I think
yes, absolutely.
I will mute. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
No
so we will try to work mainly in 2 softwares, Houdini and Maya. But please feel free to use the tool that you feel comfortable with. Okay, if you work with Blender, if you work with, I don't know, 3ds Max, feel free to do it. As much as we can approach procedural modeling, that would be fine, I think. So if you are going to use, for example, 3ds Max, let me change a little bit this one. If you, for example, are more interested in using Blender, for example, to create your own assets, try to use, or maybe geometry nodes. You can use even Spreadsheet, which is the parametric plugin for Blender. If you're using, for example, if you are planning to use 3ds Max, we highly recommend you to use Typeflow for more parametric approach. Cinema 4D is highly welcome here also. For those who are more familiar with Houdini, try to use mobs if you may. And of course, Unity is welcome here. But our mainly software will be Houdini, Maya, and Unreal. Of course, regarding Unreal, also feel free to use the render engine you feel comfortable. I mean, as we are going to try to approach visual art and representational art, you can use whatever software you want at the end of the day. But we are going to try to teach you some tricks related to those 3 softwares. At the end of the session, we are going to help you to create your crypto wallets and your Foundation.App account, because our final presentation will be more related to an NFT collection. Okay. So let's go here. Okay. Introduction time just passed. Okay, I just want to do a very quick definition about the concept of liquid architecture. We share with you in the board, you will find some PDFs related to this particular concept, okay? Because the idea of liquid architecture, we didn't invent. We didn't invent the concept of liquid architecture. The idea of liquid architecture comes from the 90s, by the way. And I think it was Marcos Novak, a philosopher who coined, I think he coined the concept, if I'm not wrong. But the idea of liquid architecture back in the 90s, of course, was not related to the metaverse as we know it. But back in the 90s, Marcos Novak has a really clear vision about what now we know as metaverse. Okay, back in the 90s, he used to call it cyberspace. Okay, so there are tons of concepts that when you read Novak's paper, you will see that the concepts that he's talking about are the same concepts that can apply and can be juxtaposed to what we know now as metaverse. Okay, so we will be stitching with the concept of Marcos Novak. If you really want to get into this term, I really suggest you to read at least this first paper down here, which is called Liquid Architectures in Cyberspace. Okay, as you may see the title, Liquid Architecture in Cyberspace, we just change the second name and we change from cyberspace to metaverse. It's like we are doing an upgrade about this concept. So we are not inventing nothing. Feel free to read at least this paper. It's really short, just 4 or 5 pages. If you really want to go deep into the term, you can read this second paper, and you can read even this short abstract of a thesis. Okay, and if you have time later, you can watch the whole lecture from Marcos Novak. Okay. So basically, of course, back in the 90s, Novak used to refer to the cyberspace as poetry. It was really peculiar because he used to talk about the cyberspace in a more poetic way, you know. And this is very interesting because he talks about the cyberspace as poetry and at the same time as architecture. So he used to say that at the end, cyberspace is poetry, but at the same time it's architecture. And that's really that's really fine, because when we deal with metaverse, we are not dealing with an architectural problem at all. You know, we are dealing with a more deep concept that even can be treated as poetry, and that's really nice. You know, but at the same time, poetry, architecture, music has a very strong bond, a very strong relationship. You know, based on concepts. So I tried to summarize the paper on this particular slide. So I will try to go very fast about it. Some ideas behind the concept of liquid architecture. There are 3 attributes that are related to the liquid architecture concept. The first one is form, information, and data. The good thing about those 3 topics, of course, we are talking about concepts that were coined back in the 90s. Okay, we need to refresh. Of course, we need to refresh those concepts now. But importantly, Novak used to say that humans were not responsible of those. Humans were not responsible of the form, or information, of data. They were part of. So humans used to be within them, and that's really fine because now humans are part of this whole world of data. And that's really cool because we sometimes think that humans are responsible of, but in this case, on the way Novak used to say to see it, it was more like humans are part of, rather than humans are responsible of. So he used to say that the cyberspace at the end is the habitat for the imagination. It's not the habitat of the human. It's the habitat of the imagination. So that means that physical things, from this point onward, physical things doesn't have more relevance. They are not more relevant than the subjective. I mean, imagination is not physical, of course, but at the same time, there were another higher level. This highest level was the mind. The mind was the owner. Novak used to say that mind was the owner of the cyberspace. So mind is everything, and human, the physical body, was part of it. And that's pretty fine because we are dealing now, we know we are getting near to this idea of something that is not static, but is dynamic. So we are going to work, we need to work. We need to understand that we are dealing with dynamic attributes rather than static attributes, things that change through time than static. So at the end of this, lecture, we're going to summarize this idea in just 3 words. Okay. Keep in mind, we are dealing with variables. Everything here in the cyberspace, now we know as the metaverse, are just variables. Nothing is static. Everything changes. At the end, we are dealing with a sum of layers. That's what Novak said. So all this weird concept finally give us this idea. Liquid architecture is the consequence of everything we just said. But of course, we need to deal with architecture as well. Not everything is poetry. So what Novak said is we need to see the cyberspace as a visionary architecture in where there are no limits, in where the excess is not a weakness. The excess is something that could be treated as a good attribute or as a positive attribute. Okay, and visionary architecture always try to escape the limits of the reality, and that's pretty fine, because when we talk about the reality in relationship with the cyberspace / metaverse, we need to understand that we are not trying to imitate or copy the nature. We're not trying to copy rules of what we call as nature, because we are not dealing with natural requirements, if I may say so. Okay, that's why, for example, we always made a joke about the metaverse in where we always used to say, why do we need trees in metaverse? It doesn't make too much sense. Why do we need stairs in metaverse? It doesn't make too much sense. We need to be mindful that we are not designing for a physical world. We are designing for a particular digital world. And what Marcos Novak used to say is what it was made for the digital used to stay and work in the digital, needs to work just in the digital. That's his idea about liquid architecture. Okay, so at the end, I want just to summarize the concept of liquid architecture in 3 words. Maybe some of you are more familiar with some terms. The first one is animism, the second is animation, and the third one is metamorphosis. Animism is the concept of animism is more related to this idea of something or someone who has a spirit of soul that can control their behavior. So we are dealing now with something that could be called intelligent. Okay, the idea of animation, the concept of animation, it's tries to set that something or someone has the ability to move from one location to another, or to be in several places at the same time. Keep that in mind, because when we design for cyberspace / metaverse, we don't have any kind of limit or bonds. You know, we don't need to think of physical laws of the reality. That's why it has completely sense to say that something can be in 2 places at the same time, or it can be in multiple places at the same time. That's completely logical at this stage. And metamorphosis is this idea of something that something can change form through time and space. That's, I think, the most important thing. It should have the ability to change form through time and space. So as you see right now, we are not dealing with static attributes. Those are completely dynamic attributes. That's why for us, it's important to understand what kind of tools can give us that opportunity to work with that kind of attributes. Of course, back then in the 90s, the question was, what is the technology? You know, because of course, back in the 90s, we didn't have Houdini, for example. We didn't have that kind of software, of that kind of powerful computers that we have right now. Okay, so the question back then was, what kind of technology we have? Probably now we may answer that question. We don't know. We will try to do it. So what I see at the end of the day, what we see, the main difference between the 90s and now, I think the only difference that I found is that just our references change. Back in the 90s, the main references were those who used to paint, who used to do abstract paint, like Kandinsky or Malevich. Marcos Novak used to consider those painters as the pioneers of the cyberspace, those who who tried to create their own logics and put them in their painting. So they used to say, for me, Marcos Novak used to say, for me, these pictures represent cyberspace. Could be, could not be, who knows? But at the end of the day, probably our own references has changed. So probably, I personally think that probably our new references are tools like, for example, Midjourney, tools for, like, for example, Disk of Diffusion, that were specifically designed for the digital world rather than the physical world. Okay, so yeah, the question was, what is the technology? Probably we may have the answer right now or not, who knows? We will try. Okay, that's basically what I wanted to share to you, those particular concepts, because everything we are going to design from this day onwards needs to at least have one of those three concepts in mind. Okay, but of course, let's not try to work as an static, let's try not to work with static attributes. Always try to think that whatever you have in hands needs to be dynamic, needs to have the ability to change, to think, to move, and whatever. Okay, so feel free to read those papers. Whenever you have time. Tomorrow we will try to talk more about in depth some concepts about game design. Probably some of you know what flow, what the theory of flow is. So we are going to just discuss very briefly some ideas about it. Cool. So what now? What we are going to work now? Our idea is to work alone. If you feel comfortable by working alone, that's fine. If you prefer to do a group maximum of 2, that's fine too. The idea of this workshop is that you can express yourself. Okay, that's why we decided not to make groups as a mandatory thing. Okay, feel free to work alone. But what we're going to do, our main concept will be called the Museum of Alien Life. This is just an excuse for designing. Okay, but based on what of the attributes that we shared to you, we're going to work with 3 different things: subjects, objects, and physics. Those terms are also part of Novak theory of liquid architecture. Okay, subjects are things more related to living entities, objects as non-living entities, and physics more related to space. Okay, so feel free to choose one of those. Aman and me are going to be more responsible of the bigger space that will be the museum. We actually have the museum, but feel free to work with a subject that could be an avatar. It could be a living. Let's keep it like this. It's just a living entity. Feel free to think what kind, the kind of living entity you want. An object, it could be an asset, and a physic, it could be a space. So you could design a space inside another space like this one. Okay, so today we are going to focus on subjects. We are going to share with you a procedural way to design avatars. Okay, we are going to share with you at the end of this session a file you can play with. You can edit it, you can tweak it. You cannot use it if you don't want. That's fine. Okay. I don't know if you have some questions right now. If not, we can start showing you some things related to Houdini and Maya. Is it okay, everyone? Did I explain it well?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any Discord channel or something?
That's a good question. No, but we can create one. Of course, we can create one.
I was actually thinking of creating one.
Great.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, that's a good feedback. Yeah, we're going to do it right now. Aman, if you can help me, that would be nice.
I'll do it.
Yeah. So okay, feel free to talk each other. If you want to make a group maximum of 2, the idea at the end of these 5 days is for our final presentation is not to have just one picture or one render as an output, but as a collection of. So if you're more familiar with Houdini, for you will be easier to create a collection of things. Okay, but if you are not familiar with Houdini, and you can work with someone else. Okay, that's why we introduce ourselves. You know, to meet each other, to know interests of each other, and so on. Okay, but for now we want to focus on two main things: introduction in Houdini and our first exercise in Houdini, and the same as Maya. So you can spend the rest of the day working with the files that we have. Okay, is everything okay? Is it okay for you? Not? Maybe yeah, maybe not. Okay. So now let me open my Houdini. Here, by the way, I placed some information related to L systems. We are not going to go deep into L systems, but I just want to show a way to create base skeletons, base linear skeletons you can start playing with. Okay, L systems can be used for a ton of things. You can create tree structures, or you can create a building if you may, because L systems are just rules for growing systems. That's all. If you are really interested in L systems, you can read this book that it was made by Linder Meyer. He was a biologist, I think, and he designed this concept of L system. Cool. So what I'm going to show you today is how to create this kind of not how to create, but how to start creating volumetric and procedural objects based on a skeleton. Okay, you can create this skeleton from scratch if you want. Okay, so from this part, let me stop just my screen just a second. Please feel free to ask me questions whenever you feel, please. And if you can help each other, that's also okay. If someone has a question and I cannot answer, and if you know the answer, please help me. Help me, please. So let me share my screen again. I know Houdini is ready. For those who are not familiar with Houdini, don't be afraid. I will move this one. For those who are not familiar with Houdini, don't be afraid. I think the main requirement in Houdini, if you are not familiar with this software, please do not touch this particular ribbon or this particular set of tools. Okay, if you're not familiar, do not play with it yet, because those are more like procedures that it's better to create from scratch in the network part. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to change very quickly the user interface. You can change the user interface as much as you want. So I will show you the way how I do the way how I work. At the end, I work in this way. So okay, so I'm going to create it from scratch. Let me see if I can create a new folder, a new file. I will open it again better. There are basically 3 things we need to have near in Houdini. Okay, the first thing, here at the bottom, you can see that we have a window that is called the object on the network viewport. Okay, in this particular part down here, we will see all our nodes or parameters, if you may. Okay, the problem with this is that it's really small, and here in Houdini, our work depends of this network, so it's better to put them bigger. You know. So the way I do it, let me erase this. Where is it? Okay, I will erase this picture. Okay, nice. Okay, the way how I do it, back up here you will see that there is a panel and a row next to it. If you click on it, this is very similar as Blender, I think. You will have the possibility to split windows. So what I will do is I will split this bigger one. That's why I click on it. If you try to do the same procedure, for example, next to it, you will split the smaller window. I want to do the same, but with a bigger one. So I will go like split left, right. Click. Yeah. Okay. So what I did is just duplicate the viewport. Why? Because I want to change this one, this second one. How? By going into the plus icon and looking for, in this particular case, the network view. The network view is this space where all our components or nodes will be shown. Okay, I will go like network view, and that's enough. Now that I have my network viewport, this second one I don't need it. You can delete it. However, in this second view, what I used to have, it's something that is called the spreadsheet. I will explain what is that later. But what we will do is we will go to plus button. I think this is, where is this? I always forget. Okay, it's here in the inspectors, geometry spreadsheet. The geometry spreadsheet is like, is the only way we can know what's going on inside our geometries and whatever we have here. It's like, for those who comes from Grasshopper, the geometry spreadsheet is like using a panel to see what's going on inside a list. This is important here because we can interact with this particular spreadsheet. We can create attributes, we can delete, move, transform, promote, copy, whatever. So that's why it's really important to have the geometry spreadsheet. And up here we have the parameters. Parameters are all the attributes related to every node. Okay. So by default, I think Houdini comes like that. And even I think by default, it comes like, not gray, but light, I think by default, it comes like that, blue. Okay, if you want to change the background, you can do it very easily, but by first clicking in the viewport, pressing D of display, and in the background, you just change the color. Okay, if you press D, for example, in the viewport, you will see display options of the viewport. If you press D in the network view, you will see the display options of the network view, and so on. Those shortcuts are on the board, by the way. Okay, there are tons of shortcuts that I will be using. Okay, cool. So another thing I used to do is in my network view, I used to create a layout. No, sorry, not a layout, but a grid layout. So I used to go to tools, grid lines. Once I see those grid lines, I press D of display, and here I used to use this spacing. Okay, this is what I do personally. I used to maintain this order. So when I place nodes, the nodes used to attach to this grid. And for me, it's better. That's the way how I maintain the order. So saying that, let's go to, I think it's this one. I will share to you this file later. Okay, but try please to follow me. Try to follow me, and be mindful about your computers, because Houdini is well known for crashing computers. Okay, let's try to go step by step. Now my computer is loading, and it's making some noises. Okay, this is what we are going to work today. Not this one, but this one. Okay, at the end of the day, I would like to teach you how to create a very easy avatar. Okay, an avatar that is not static, by the way, but has the possibility to change in time. Okay, of course, this looks hard to do if you're not familiar with Houdini, but at the end you will see that it's pretty easy to do it. So the main idea here is to start. I start with a node that is called L system. By the way, how you create nodes? Very simple. You just press tab. Okay, you press tab in the network view, and you can write whatever you want. However, be mindful of something. The first place that appears in the node network is the object space. Here, for example, if you press tab, you will see completely different nodes. You know. Than, for example, it was here. The idea behind Houdini is that everything works in nodes. So every node can hold more data and so on. That means that you can go inside a node to see what's happening inside it, and you can even go even deeper to see what's happening there. Everything here works in that way. That's more or less that than Grasshopper, but the difference is that you can go inside the data. So it's in data inside data. That's why you can change whatever you want. Okay. The way how you go back is you, letter U. The way how you go inside is I. Okay. So the main node you should start working with, it's called geometry, because we are going to create a geometry. That's the first thing you need to do, to create a geometry node. And inside it, we can start modeling, if I may say so. Of course, here in the main board, a part of geometry, you can work with different things. For example, here you can add a light if you want. Here you can add a camera if you want. Here you can add, I don't know if you can create a material. Yeah, you can add a material here as well. But at the same time, if you want to work with a material, you have a completely different board. You have a board that is called material. And here you will see just components related to materials. This may sound hard, but I think that's the best way to organize such a complex software as Houdini. We're not going to work with materials here, by the way. So I will erase those guys, and I will be, please create a geometry node, tap geometry, and that's enough. You go inside, and we can start playing with it. What I use here is a node called LSystem. Why did I use that? Just to create a very basic skeleton. By the way, you can create this curve here in Houdini. You can use a node that is called curve. The only, not problem, but the only, yeah, let's call it problem. The only problem that I found with this node is that if you're not familiar with Houdini, it's not that easy to start working with it. What I suggest you, if you want to play with a base skeleton, you can draw it in Rhino, for example. You can draw a baseline in Rhino and import it as FBX. I think it's FBX, yeah. So the idea here is just to create a skeleton. I have this skeleton here. I create another skeleton here. I create another one. Okay. And those are the result of playing with rules in LSystems. LSystems are just rules of growth. So there are tons of codes on the internet you can look for. The good thing about this kind of procedure is that we can study growth, as I said. So for example, here, not value, in geometry, for example, you can study how the growth system start to work. You know, what I do, sorry. How the growing system will behave. You know, this is really important about, well, this is what I found interesting about LSystems here in Houdini. You can study how things grow, you know, in every generation. You can also change this one. Okay, I put a set of definitions in the board, more or less to understand what F means, why minus means, but this is just rules of movement. Okay, this is very simple. Don't feel forced to use this. You can start playing with curves, by importing curves from another software. Okay. I think that I have an example that I can share to you. I have another file here. I will share to you at the end when I finish this tutorial. I have a file with just pure LSystem nodes with different outputs. Let me show you. I will try to do this quickly because we don't have too much time. I have this particular, where is it? I think it's this one, LSystem example. Yeah, I will share to you this file. I will try to do it right now because this is not too heavy. Yes, I will put it here. I will share this file to you right now, so you can start with it. I will place it in the chat. Later, I will upload this file into the board, so you can play with it later. I put it in the chat. Just please download it. Okay. So here you will find the example of a body, the example of this curvy system. This is more or less the same, but I just changed some rules. This is for more orthogonal growth. This is more or less the same, but with different scale. And this one is something that is more related to trees growth, in where you can place different volumes as outputs, as inputs. So you can, for example, you can start studying the general tree branch growth, but at the same time you can start placing different things as at the end of the branch. You just need to change those nodes. For example, if you want to replace the sphere with I don't know, with a cylinder, you should use the node tube. In this particular case, you change it and it will change. Simple as that. Okay, try to play with it. And let's go back here. Let's imagine that we are going to work with this kind of skeleton, because I'm really interested in working with subjects. Okay, let's imagine that I'm really interested in creating an avatar, okay, or a living entity. The first thing I do here, I use this node, which is called match size. The match size node, what it will do is it will place my my skeleton first of all in the origin in the general origin of this viewport. And here you have a matching attribute where you will choose, for example, I want to justify this particular model and put it, for example, I want the feet to be in the origin, in the Z plane. So what I will do is I will set, okay, justify the y-axis. By the way, here in Houdini, as Maya, the y-axis is the vertical one, it's the three-dimensional one. So if you want to move it three-dimensionally, you need to change the y-axis. So in this case, I want to put it in minimum, so it will go up there. This is really important to do because when we simulate things in Houdini, sometimes it's better to stick our unit in the origin. But for example, if my original location was this one, at the end of the day, at the end of our procedure, we can place it back again to the original location. That's not a problem. Right? Okay. But in this particular case, I want it to be like that. I can avoid this one. This is not really necessary. However, we need to create volume. We need to create something that it's not unidimensional as the curve. So we need to use a node. For example, in Grasshopper, you used to use I don't know if it's tube. I think it's tube in Grasshopper. I don't remember, but anyway. But here, the way how you create tubes, it's called polywire. That's the node, polywire. Yeah, sure, Arjun. Here in the board, there is a book I put. Let me show you. Down here in the board, I placed this book. If you click this book, it shouldn't be locked. I will unlock this. If you click this book, you will see it's a PDF. Download it. You can download it. All the papers that I place here are down. You can download them. Okay, do it. Yeah. The rules behind the growth of the plants is really impressive, but of course we don't want to use the L system to make a plant. What we want about it is we want to use the control logic to grow whatever we want. Oh yeah, sure, Abdullah. Aman, can you help me by sharing the middle link, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So we just suggest you to use L system if you want. If not, well, you can start placing curves. The way to use curves here in Houdini is like this way. First, you need to place the curve node. Okay, by pressing this blue icon, you turn it on and turn it off. You hide it and show them. Okay, but of course, how can I start drawing by using a node? That's the tricky thing. That's why I don't suggest you to use curves when you are not, if you are not familiar with Houdini. But let me show you how to do it. This particular blue tick means that we are seeing right now the node, even though we don't have nothing inside it. The way how you start drawing is you click once in the viewport and you press enter. By pressing enter, you're saying, now I want to work, or now I want to activate this node. Okay. Now, that's the first tricky part. The second tricky part, you need to decide what kind of primitive you want to work with. I want to work with a polygon. No, let's work with a Bezier. So if you are more familiar with Photoshop, this is more or less the same. You need to decide what kind of order. If you reduce the order, you probably will lose some commands. Let's keep it in their place. And from here, you need to check this second button, the draw mode. So from this particular point, you can start drawing like you are in Photoshop, for example. So if you want to maintain if you want to be sticked into this particular grid, you can activate this magnet down here. This is, you can see here a magnet with a kind of rectangle there. That means that whatever you're going to draw now will be stick into this particular subdivision. So if you put one click and you press another click, what you will be drawing is more like a polyline. But if you click on it, if you do a suspended click and you start moving the mouse, you will create this kind of anchor. This is very this is like the same as Photoshop, I think. You know, this is the way you could model it. Oop, that's enough. This is, once you finish, you press, no, you don't press enter. You go there to the arrow, one click, and that's enough. Now you finished. I really suggest you, if you wanna experiment with it, go with it. If not, try by importing a curve from another software as FBX. Okay, I will place it into the chat. FBX. That's the way how you should do it. But anyway, I won't use. Oh, by the way, I may double click here, and now I can see what's going on inside that node. That's how Houdini works. But I will erase it. I won't use it. I want to use my L system. If you, for example, just in case, if you want to change some angles of this particular skeleton, what you can do here in the rules of this particular node, just try by changing those numbers. For example, if I want to make it shorter, maybe 1.2, and it will make the arm shorter, you know, play with it. I mean, the only task we are going to ask you is play with it. As we don't have too much time this particular weekend. Okay, I will keep it like that. Nice. Cool. Let's imagine now we have. Now that I have my skeleton, what we can do is we can join the match size into the polywire. Okay, this is the way how you connect to nodes. It's the same as Grasshopper, but instead of going from left to right, we go from up to down. Okay, I want to activate this particular node. I press the blue arrow, the blue tick here to see what's happening. It's a whole mess. That's completely normal because we need to change the parameters. Down here, up here, sorry, in the parameters, of course, the main value we need to change is the radius. We have two ways of changing it, or three ways to changing it: by moving this slider, by writing number, or by using the middle button of the wheel of the mouse. If you press the middle mouse, you will see this particular ruler. Sorry, you can move by pressing the middle mouse. You can, for example, I want to move this value by 2 decimals. I just place the mouse here and move my middle mouse here. That's the way how you can change this value. So for me, that's really fine. Maybe 2.5. I don't know what's the value I use, which value you is more or less the same. Okay, because yeah, it looks nice. Then probably we're gonna add more subdivisions to look at to make it more not organic but more smooth. Okay, maybe like that. Okay, it started looking fine. Good thing about procedural design is that we can go back and set. I don't want it to be that long. I don't want it to have that amount. This amount of I don't know. So that size. I mean, let's go like 0.5, and it will change everything. It will change all the procedure. Okay, but for me it was really fine. 1.6. Come on. Nice. Cool. However, the only problem that we have right now is that we have a really low amount of polygons. Okay. For example, if I click here, if you can see in this wheel, you can see an I button. That's an information button. Here you will see all the attributes, all that is happening here in Houdini. Here you will see the amount of points, the amount of primitives, vertices, polygon, and the most important thing. Oh, sorry. The most important thing is what's happening down here. Here it says 1 point attribute and 1 vertex attribute. Here in Houdini, we deal with attributes. We work with attributes. We can create attributes. We can delete attributes. We can move attributes. For example, I have 1 attribute on the points. Which points? Those points. Can you see those sky blue points? Those points have attributes. What kind of attributes? Here it says P. P is the definition of position. That makes sense. Of course, the first attribute we create to a point is their position. Here the position is an attribute. By the way, in the official web page of Houdini, there are guides that can tells you what kind of attributes there are in Houdini. I will share to you later. I forgot to put it. And the second attribute we have are attributes in the vertex. They are UVs. So that means that here we have a UV mapping already set. Not all our geometries usually have a texture attribute, by the way. For example, if you here in Houdini, we have something that is called test geometries. For example, if I place the peak head, let's see what kind of attributes we have. Look at it. The peak head has more attributes. It has 1 attribute that is called shop material path. What's that? That's the material. Exactly. That's the material. If I receive a model that actually has a texture on it attached, that particular attribute, it's called shop material. And this UV is not the texture on itself, but is the mapping, is the UV mapping. This particular attribute tells the geometry how the texture should be projected into it. Okay, in this particular geometry, we don't have the texture yet. No. Yes, because we didn't apply it. But that's how Houdini works. So during every step, probably we are going to create new attributes. Okay. And here in the geometry spreadsheet, what we see is we have attributes on the points, but what was those attributes position? So that means here in the attributes, we will have the location attribute. We will have a position for X, position for Y, and Z for each point. Let's organize it by number. So we have point number 1, point number 2, so on, so on, so on, and each one of them has their position already in the spreadsheet. If you want to see, if you click, for example, down here, we have a point with a number. What you will see with it is every point's number. So for example, now I can know that if, for example, I'm really interested in see what's the position of point 87, I go to the spreadsheet and look for that particular point. A point 87 is this one. Where is this one? That's the position. Okay. Here in the spreadsheet, you will have attributes for points, vertex, polygons, and geometries. Okay. This is just use it as a monitor, just to see what's happening there. We are not going to touch the geometry spreadsheet probably until tomorrow or Wednesday. Cool. So from this point onwards, you can start editing your model manually here in the viewport or by using nodes here. If you, for example, want to change up, let's imagine I want to change the position of those two polygons. I just want to displace them. Can I do it manually? And the answer is yes, you can do it. Here in Houdini, you can start modeling as you were modeling Rhino, for example, if you want. The only difference between that kind of software, for example, if I click in the row, I can select this, and I can press the move or the move component here, and I can move it. But however, look at this. As soon as I did this particular move or this particular transformation in the viewport, a new node appeared, the node edit. Yes, because every step or every transformation in Houdini has its own representation as a node. That's something that I found really interesting about Houdini. You can work manually and parametric at the same time. And every manual move has a representation as a command or as a procedure, as a node. That's something that I love about Houdini. That's something that I think you cannot approach in other software. As I know, I don't know if there is, but if there is another software, that's nice. But anyway, of course, I don't want to edit it manually. I will erase this node and everything will come to its original position. So what's the best way to start editing this model if I am not to do it manually? Okay, what I usually do is I start working with something that is called BDB. For those who comes from Rhino, for example, won't know that, but for those who comes from Grasshopper, and if you have ever used Dendro, the Dendro plugin from Grasshopper, BDB is what you get with Dendro. A BDB basically it's a set of voxels that contains data. What kind of data? Whatever the data you want to use to put there. So this is really fine because we can deal with tons of information of very complex models very easily. So what I will do here is I will convert this particular model into a BDB, into a volume. The way to do it is by writing BDB from polygon, because what we have here is a polygon. What we have here are a set of polygons. Of course, you can do it the same. If you have particles, you can do it as well. But I will go for a BDB from polygons. This is the node. You just connect it, and you will see how our model, do something like this. A completely weird thing. Is this a polygon? No. Is this a mesh? No. What is this? It's a volume, which is called a BDB. What we are seeing here are voxels that contain data. Okay. In this particular case, we need to deal with the voxel size. We need to deal with the voxel size until a point that we more or less see our general geometry as we want it to be. In this particular case, the value I use is a really low value. A really low value means that every voxel is smaller. As a consequence, we have more voxels. So that means we can place more values in every voxel. From this particular part, on this particular point, please be mindful about your computers, because BDB, the process of transforming a volume, can crash your computer. So try to go manually. Try to reduce that amount manually. So for example, I will go like 0.01 just to see if I can get more or less the form I want, because I want to start reshaping it. Okay. I remember I used 0.05 because my computer can handle it, but be mindful about your computers. Let's go 0.05. Okay. So for now, we are dealing with a volume. This is not a polygon. This is not a mesh. This is a volume. So what we can do right now is what I usually like to do is I like to use this node that is called BDB Reshape SDF. Okay, the volume, the node Reshape has 4 operations, I think. Yeah, has 4 operations. You can delete or increase the size. You can erode or decrease the size, and open and close, I never use them. But what I usually do is I start playing with those. For example, I usually use 2 of them. What you can do is you can join them like that. And let's go to the first one. What I usually do with the first reshape is I increase the volume. I increase the size of the volume just to get sure, to get rid of any imperfection that the polygon had previously. And then what I do with the second one is I go to erode. So when I clean every imperfection of the model, I decrease the size. And now it's starting getting really cool. You know, can you see the difference? This is really like polygonal. You know, it's like, no, I don't like it. This is looking better. No, looks like a liquid organic thing, and it starts looking nice. But of course, we are dealing with the volume. This is not a polygon yet, so I need to convert it into polygon. The way to convert it is convert BDB. That's the node. Convert BDB. Let's put it into it. And in the parameters, we need to set. We want to convert this particular volume into what? In this case, into a polygon. And now, this is a polygon. This is a polygon in where we can see that we have 8,000 points, 32,000 vertices, and so on. That's nice. That's nice. So now, even though we converted it into a polygon, we can still be changing our base mesh. We can start changing like that. We can change the erode. I don't know what you want. What you want. I really suggest you to use or a very small amount of voxels, or what we can do is we can increase the amount of polygons, because what we want to do right now is to transform it, to change their form. Okay, until this point, this is a base mesh. For me, it's a base mesh. What I will do is I will smooth this particular mesh, because as you may see, our mesh has imperfections. That's the only problem of using BDB, you know, as a reshaping process. At the end, you get this kind of imperfections. The way how I usually smooth this is by using a node that is called delta mush. Delta mush force the mesh to be smooth. So if you increase this iteration, you will see that you are losing volume. That's true. You're losing volume, but at the same time you are getting a smooth mesh. Be mindful. This looks like an alien. Be mindful about it. If you start losing too much mesh, what you can do is you can go back to the BDB process. Maybe we can go to the reshape delayed process, and we can increase it a little bit. At the same time, we can increase the delta mush until a point we have something that we like. Okay, I really like how this is looking like. Nice. So now what I want to do right now is I will apply a noise data into the mesh to move every point. What I will do is I will grab data from a noise. It could be a noise texture if you want, but we have attributes here. We will say, I will tell Houdini, I will apply a noise into this particular mesh, and depending of the value of the noise, every point here will start moving differently. Depending of their normals, of course, they will start moving differently. This will give me this possibility of creating a very peculiar avatar, if we may say so. How can I do it? Okay, the way we want to approach it is like this. Of course, the more points or the more polygons we have, the better. The more polygons we have at the end, the more resolution we will get. So what I will do here, I will be using this node, which is called Subdivide. I will use Subdivide. You can use this particular node, in where you can use the default Catmull-Clark. Be mindful about this process, because by subdividing, you are not multiplying the mesh by 2, you are multiplying it by 4. So because it's increased exponentially. Okay, be mindful about it. I will keep like 2, I think. I think 2 is the best. And I think you can use another node. Probably you can use divide. You can use divide, I think. Yeah, you can use divide, like this one. And I think here you have, maybe you can use compute dual. Yeah, if you use, if you tick this particular attribute, you will get this kind of hexagonal shape. You can play with it if you want. I will stick with the subdivide. And from this part, here is where the fun comes. There is one node that is called mountain. Mountain here in Houdini 19 is a noise attribute. Okay, if you type mountain, you will get this particular node. This particular node has tons of information, I think, inside. Yeah, but you cannot touch it. But here, when you place, if we place the subdivision node into the mountain, you will see that automatically our model change form. I know it's a mess, because we need to deal with it. How? Okay. For now, we need to see all the attributes here. Let's see it carefully. How much time I have? Okay, we don't have too much time. Okay, what we will do is, the reason why we see these black faces and blue faces is because the mesh is moving in a positive direction and negative direction. That's why it's getting collapsed with itself. That's because we are using, in the noise value, we are using this option that is called zero center. Okay, with zero center, what zero center means is that if you have, let's imagine we have this set of y-x line. Zero center means that you can move positive something and you can move it negatively. So you can have something like this. I don't want that. I just want it to move in the positive, in the positive direction. The way how I do it is I grab this range and I go to positive. That's enough. And I go back and everything will look different. Yeah, I know it's really fluffy, but we can start playing with it. How you can do it? You can reduce the amount of amplitude, first of all. Something like that, for example. And then we can apply a pattern, a noise pattern. So for example, you have all those sets of noises you can start playing with. For example, I want to play with alligator. I don't see anything. It's because we need to increase the amplitude. Okay, looks fine. Probably not. Probably I need to increase the element size. More or less, from here, you just need to play. For example, in this particular case, I think I use the Chebyshev, yes. What I use here is those ones. Probably I will need to increase not the amplitude, but the element size. Let's see how it's going on. More or less like that. Maybe I can offset it. Something like that is nice. I can reduce the amplitude. Yeah, and it starts looking pretty nice, I think. Now you can see that it's completely different. However, here in the fractal, I think what I usually do here in the fractal is I tick the fractal type into none to have a more smoother surface. Okay. So if you want, we can copy those values to make this faster. I will grab these nodes. I will copy it here, and let's see what's happening here. Here I use the noise value as positive, just because I want all the points to move in positive with positive values, not negative. If not, if we tell the point to move negatively, it will collapse with another point. So that's something we don't want. The next thing, okay, we can use this value as amplitude. Let's see what happens if I move it. Okay, it make it smaller. I want it to be like that. That's nice. The element size is the size of the noise. The size of the noise on this particular mesh. The bigger the element size, the less deformation we will get. Okay, let's keep it into 25. Here in the offset, I place this code. I will explain what did I do here. And the fractal type, none. And from here in the warping, what I did is those values, what they add are more detailed on this particular noise pattern. I really suggest you, if you tick this fractal type into none, feel free to use the warping to change warping values. But if you start playing with those fractal types are usually used to add more detail into terrains. Okay, I don't want to work. I am not working with a terrain, or I am not working with a landscape or a height field. So I won't use them. Okay, I will. That's why I keep it into none. If you use them, it's not relevant to use warping because you are adding detail with this particular with those particular values. I will keep it into none. Then I will erase this one. Here in the offset, what offset means is that you can take your texture, your pattern, and you can start moving above the geometry. So that's pretty nice because now what we can get with it is an animated texture. Okay, that's pretty fine. The question is, can I link this offset into the timeline? And the question is yes, you can do it. The way how I did it is very simple. There is a code for that. Okay, we are not going to work with Bex because we don't have time to do it. However, the code that I will show you is very easy to do it. So what I want Houdini to do is very simple. Is every time I go from one frame to another, I want you to change one value of the offset. How can I do it? Very simple. You need to press the $ symbol and write FF. This is the way to say that we are going to stick the offset to every frame. If I press enter, my timeline will start working. But this is too fast. So what I want to is to reduce. For example, what is happening here is when I am in the frame 1, the offset value is 1. When I go to 2, is 2, and so on. However, I want this value to move not that much. I mean, I want it to move, for example, from 0 to 0.1, for example, not from 1 to 2. I want to go from 1 to 1.01. So that's slow. So what I need to do is I need to divide this value with, I don't know, 100, for example. So now instead of going from 1 to 2, it will move every 2 decimals, like that. So as a consequence, we will have a smoother transition in our model. That's nice. Probably 1 more 0. And now it's better. For me, it's looking better. Now I have an avatar that has a dynamic skin, if I may say so. Skin, yeah. If you want to extend the lifetime of this particular transformation, down here you can increase the length of your timeline. Now I have 500 frames. Sorry. Okay. However, for me, this could be fine, but let's do something else. I will smooth it a little bit because from here you may see that again we have this particular polygonal imperfections. That's completely normal due to the amount of subdivisions. We can increase it here. We can do it. The only problem is that this will make our computer slower. So I will keep it into 2, and I will add another delta mush node just to get our mesh smoother, like that. Maybe we can increase the iteration until yes. If I start losing details on my particular mesh, what I can do is I can go back into the mountain and increase the amplitude, maybe not 0.075, but 85. So we will start getting a little bit of more detail. You need to negotiate between the amplitude and the iterations of the delta mush. Okay, let's keep it like that, more or less. Cool, that's nice. That's nice. That's looking really, really, really cool. Okay, that's how. Oh, okay, but before finishing, we can stay with it. It's pretty fine. You can start playing with different noise patterns. That's what we have here. For example, in this particular procedure, I have this avatar, and this second procedure down here at the right, we have even though it's the same, I will erase this one. Even I have the same procedure, the only thing that changed here is the mountain attribute. So here I have a completely different noise pattern applying to the mesh, you know, and it's also animated. It's changing. Oh, it's changing slower, but it's changing. It's moving. Nice. And at the same time here I have another different attribute, noise attribute here, which is this one, which is more polygonal. And here I have the same, but with a different skeleton. Where is my skeleton here? By the way, I press F to focus. Oh, okay, here. Okay, but with a whole different input. In this particular case, I used to work with a skeleton, but now I decided to work with a completely different input, which is this kind of organic shape. What I did here, the difference between this one, those three procedures and those next ones is that the first after I create the curve, as I have very few amount of points. How many points do I have here? I have 200. I want what I would do is I increased the amount of polygon, the points. So I resample it to add more points because I'm going to deform it. I need to have more resolution. With the resample node, you can increase the amount of points. It's like rebuilding a curve in Rhino. It's the same, but here it's called resample. So here what you need to do is you need to reduce the length. If you reduce the length, in consequence, you add more points. In consequence, again, you have more resolution. Just be sure. Sorry. Okay. So here, be sure that you will work with subdivision curves. So your curve will look smoother, or will look like a level 3 curve in Rhino. Okay, like a nerves curve. Then here, what I use is a copy node. The copy node here in Houdini gives you the option to copy in series. You know, so what you can do is and transform the copy in every step. So here, what I did is I ask the sorry, what I told Houdini is every step you copy, translate the new copy this value, rotate this value, and scale this value. Simple as that. Here, of course, you need to play with it. Okay, if you want to have less copies, you can reduce the amount. If you have more copies, increase the amount. The reason why I did this is because I imagine probably this kind of repetition could be at the end a kind of spine of a subject, of an entity. That's why I copy it as it was a spine. So then I transform it with bend. Sorry, with twist. I twist it. This node is not hard to do. What you can do, for example, is you can press bend and go here into bend. The good thing about, for example, this node is that inside the parameters you have, in addition, you can have bend, you have twist, length, taper, capture, whatever. No, capture is not a transformation, but taper, scale, twist, bend, they are transformators. Okay, if you write twist, it's the same node, but with a different set turn on. Okay, but this is the same. So what I did here is I used the twist node. I used the capture region to set, okay, I want to transform from this point to the top of it, so I can start transforming it. You can do it manually. You can decide the direction of your transformation, the length of the transformation, and the amount of the transformation. You just need to play. You just need to be very, very careful with it. I can delete this one. By the way, with this yellow button, what I'm saying is, do not delete this node, but do not consider it. So what is happening here is whatever I get from this node goes directly to the next one, avoiding this one. But it's not deleting it, but it's not erasing it. Okay, it's just Houdini is not considering that particular node. So probably because later I could need it later. So from this point onward, it's the same procedure. We have BDB, we have delta mush, we have subdivision until the point that I start playing with the noise attribute, and I can get something like that. A pretty weird living entity. I don't know what it may be, but I like it. Of course, I see these collisions, so that means that I need to clean it later. I can use here another BDB, by the way. So here I use delta mush. I just transform to put it into the center. It's looking nice. However, something you can do, for example, let's going back into the avatar, going back here. What you can do is you can maintain symmetry of your model. For me, this looks pretty nice, okay? But maybe you can add symmetry. So if so, you can add a Symmetrize node, Symmetrize nodes. By the way, this particular node is hopefully you have it, but if you don't, you need to install Labs, which is a kind of plugin in Houdini. As I know, in the 19 version, you have this particular plugin installed. In case you don't have it, please let me know, but you should have it by default. You can use Symmetrize, and Symmetrize, what Symmetrize do is what it's supposed to do, a symmetry, but a blended symmetry. You can use mirror as well. Yes, that's true. You can use mirror as well. You can use this one, okay? But I usually use Symmetrize as it gets a really clean join, but you can use mirror as well, as Aman is saying. Cool. Now what you have is a symmetric entity. That's nice. And that's fine. So for example, if you want to export this particular iteration, what you can do is you can grab here. If you have the indie version, you can use the FBX output, ROP output. But if you don't have the indie version, you won't be able to export an FBX. Neither you won't be able to export an Alembic ROP output. This is the most important thing, but we will manage to solve this later. But if you have a free version of Houdini, what you can do here is you can go like you can grab here a null just to maintain your null is just an empty node. I usually use this one to maintain my procedure clean. Sorry. Right click and you go to save geometry. And from here you need to choose OBJ. This one, OBJ. You just change the name. You can put it test. You click on this white paper here, click, and set your destination. I will save this into the desktop, okay, and save it. And this will save this particular model as OBJ. Of course, OBJ don't store movement. You can store movement into FBX, and you can store movement into Alembics. So this could be a really good opportunity for you to explore dynamic entities. Here, even you have another one. For example, in this particular one, you will see a more complex procedure. For example, here I use the copy again. I copy it more. I twist it. Then I will close this one. I use the same procedure until here. Let's see. Hopefully it won't crash. But at the end, I use another node that probably we will be working tomorrow, not today. But here in Houdini, you have those attribute noises that works, I mean, by default. But at the same time, you can create your own procedure for noise creation. And that is called attribute, the attribute bob. The attribute bob is like having a grasshopper inside Houdini. So for those like me who don't like to do Bex coding every day, you can use bobs as an alternative. Okay, I will. Oh, it's frozen. But anyway, this used to happen here in Houdini. But anyway, if you have questions, guys, I know you have. Maybe I was too fast. But what you can do from this point, I will share to you this particular script so you can play with it at home. If you have questions with it, if you have questions right now, you can ask it. You can ask to me. If not, by tomorrow, of course, we can play with it as well. I will upload this node into my drive and place it into the board so you can download it. Okay, because I think my Houdini don't want to run right now. It's frozen.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I think I don't know if you are still see my. Are you able, guys, to see my? No, it's not. Okay, that's fine. Oh, my Houdini crash. Anyway, if you have questions, you can ask me as well. I will share to you this note if you wanna start working with subjects on objects. The idea here is to use attribute noises to get an object that is not static but dynamic. So one way to do it is by using an animated noise at the top of the volume. That's what I did. That was the objective, the goal on this particular approach. Okay. If you have questions right now, you can ask me, or not. I can. I think Aman can continue. Yes. Yeah, sure.
Some node, my node is different from you. Like mountains, my icon is different like you. And is this I didn't install the plugin. Something you said lab.
Which version do you have of Houdini?
18.
Okay, because I think in the version 18. Let me share my screen again. Let me do it very quickly. Okay, I think in the version 18. Are you talking about the mountain node, right? You said mountain? Yeah. Okay. The mountain nodes in 18, I think the icon it's different, but the parameters are the same, I think. So you should be able to see, okay, maybe not the exact same, but at least you should be able to have the noise pattern. I think in 18 is different. In 19, then the component change into an attribute noise. Now the mountain node belongs to the attribute noise group of nodes. So if you wanna, it's just because of your version. If you wanna use the same exact values here, you may upgrade to 19. If not, I don't remember how many noises there is in 18, but you should have those. At least you should have Manhattan at least. If you don't have this one, check it out because you should have it.
Yeah. For example, I can't see the animation part of the in the mountain. So I think I should install the 19 version.
If you wanna grab, I don't remember exactly if there is the offset option the mountain sub in 18. I don't remember it, to be honest. But yeah, we need, in this particular case, we need the offset. We need to change the offset value because that's the one who gives us the possibility to move the texture. Yeah, if you don't have it and you want to use it, you may you may install, you want to install the 19 version. If not, we can use another procedure, which is called the attribute bob. The attribute bob, as I told you, give us this possibility to create a whole new procedure from scratch, if I may say so. For example, this attribute, this is called sub. Okay, let's be technical. Nodes in Houdini are called sub. Okay, so I will tell them like I will use the real name. Okay, so the sub node here, the mountain sub here in Houdini, it's like a default sub for a very particular set of noise attributes. However, we can create our own with the attribute bob. If you write attribute, I will do it very quickly. Attribute bob here. With the attribute bob, this is the first. I think before going into coding in Houdini, you should start using bobs, because bobs is like the previous stage of Beck's expression in Houdini. Here, if you double click here, what you will have is an input and an output, and inside here we can write whatever we want. Well, let me grab here. Here we can start adding nodes like it was in Grasshopper. The good thing about it is that we can create our own script for noise, because here, if you press tab and you write noise, we will have tons of nodes, of noise nodes. We can start working with unified, and we can grab, for example, I will do it very quickly. I will create here. Let's create a sphere. Okay, I will create a sphere. I will grab a sphere. I will tell them I want it to be a polygon. Where is my view set here? With this, I will change the view style. I will go like to wire shaded just to see the polygons. And here I will increase the frequency because I'm going to transform it. So the more resolution I have, the more, the more subdivision I have, the more resolution I will get at the end. We go like 50, for example. I know it's too much, but I think it's the better. So what I can do is I can use the attribute bob, because I want to transform it using a noise, but I want to create this procedure. I will turn this on. I will go inside. Inside, what I have here are attributes from the input. So everything that I'm looking at here are attributes that belongs to this sphere. Obviously, not all of them have data, but the majority of them holds data. So here is the input that belongs. This node corresponds to the sphere, and here is the output. Okay, so the basic thing you can do is join position with position. So what I'm saying here is all the attributes that belongs to the position, location, please put it into the output. So here nothing is happening. However, what I can do is, for example, there is one node that is called displaced along normals. If you, for example, use displaced along normals, and you connect the position into the position and the output as a new position, you can start playing with the displacement, and what you can do is you are scaling by default. This is a way to transform. However, you can transform this. You can transform this particular sphere with a noise. You can use noise here. Choose whatever you want. What I will do probably is use let's use unified. Let's use unified. I don't know. And here you will get. Let me see. Fractal, not fractal. Here. Here you should be able to see the same values as the mountain sub. So if you don't have the same values in mountain, you can use unified noise, because here you will find them. And here you have the offset. So what I will do is I will grab the position of the position attribute of this sphere and connected it into the position input of the unified noise. By the way, I just minimize those arrows. I just minimize it because this particular node has a lot of inputs. I will erase this one, So here, if I connected it here, probably this will look a mess. Or nothing, yeah, I suppose that. So the correct way to use a noise is you can, what we need to do is, we need to say, we have an original position. Okay, this point has an X, Y, and Z attribute. So what we need to do with this noise is, whatever value we get from here, we need to add to the original position. So it will move from the original position. It will be we will get a new value, but based on the original position. So what I will do here is I will grab the node add, and I will say, okay, take the original position and move and addition it and put an additional value, which is noise, and it will place into the volume, into the position. And now my volume will start transforming it correctly. Of course, here I can start playing with the noise type. Let's go to JVSEP, which is the one I was playing with before. Probably you wanna decrease the frequency. I don't remember the exact value we used to have, but I think you need to decrease it or increase it. I don't remember. Okay, I will do it very fast. I don't remember the value, so I will just play with it. Okay, let's keep it like that. It's looking fine. And I remember we use lattice wrap. I remember. No, lattice wrap. I don't remember. Gradient. I don't remember this part. I don't know. I don't use lattice wrap. I use another one. But anyway, the main important thing here is the offset. Now we have an offset, so we have the ability to move the texture. So what I will do, let me see if I grab in just the X, it will move. Yeah, what I can do is we can place the value here. We can place the code here. I want to link the offset into the timeline. So what I can do is dollar symbol FF that represents the frame. And I will divide it by a huge number just to offset this texture very slowly. So I will go like 1,000, I don't know. And I will play, it's not working. Okay, let's go to up here. It should work now. It's not working. Why is not working? Let me see why it's not working. Okay, it says I cannot do it. That's a shame. That's a shame. So what I can do, let me see. What I can do, I think we have one more option. Let me see. Okay, let's grab it into 0. Let me do something very quickly because I've never done this before. Here I will add an attribute that will be called. If this works, I will. If this works, I will explain what did I do it. This will call timeline. No, offset. This will be called offset. Offset. I will increase a value into like 1,000. No, like 1,000,000. I think. Apply, accept, and here I will set this value. Is link it into there, and I will copy this value, go inside, paste relatives. No, it's not working. Okay, it's not working. I don't know why. Yeah, probably you will be, yeah. You cannot let me connect a value inside the sub. Weird. That's a shame. I thought you could do that. So yeah, maybe probably what you will need to do is to maybe we can use a solver later. Let me try to do it because I think you can do it, but not inside here. What you can do in the meantime is try to update into the 19 version to solve this animation. So, but in the meantime, I will try to solve it by using another node because what you can do is you can use a solver. You can use a solver and you can place. But I was not expecting to explain what solver means. But it's another way to solve animation. Let me solve this in the meantime. But try to solve it by if you can upgrade to the 19 version. That would be nice.
Yeah, it's more easier, I think.
but you can. I think you can solve it with Solver. Let me try to do it, because another way to solve animation is by placing this particular node inside Solver. So let me try to do it. Let me try to do it, because I think you can do it. I think you can do it, but for now it probably won't work. Let me try to solve it. Why did you use this dollar symbol to the offset value and give it a value? Okay, the reason why I use the dollar symbol. Let me grab my Autodesk Houdini. Okay, let's do it by using the mountain here. I will grab here. Okay, with the mountain attribute, what I did is just I displaced the volume. I just add a displacement. However, the reason why I tweak the offset is because with the offset node, what you can do here is you can move the texture around it. I mean, you can move the pattern of the noise above the volume. So what I want to do is I want to link this. I mean, I want to automatize this part. I want to link the offset values with the timeline. So the reason why I use the dollar symbol is because that's the code you use to link whatever is going on in the offset with the timeline. That's the way you do it. If you, I don't remember if it's just 2F, but I think it's 2F. Probably. I don't know all the codes here, but the way you link the timeline with the offset is by writing this particular code, dollar symbol FF. So that means that every time I move my timeline, every time my timeline goes from 24 to 25, this particular number of the frame will be copied into the offset. That's why I use that particular code. But of course, I don't want it to change too fast. That's why I divide this value with a high number. So instead of saying use the regular default code, I divide this value. Whatever the value gets, I get from this particular code, I want you to divide it by 1,000 in this particular case. So instead of having 48, my value will be 48 divided by 1,000, which is 0.048. So that's why now my movement is smoother and slower. No, because I'm getting slower values. That's why. I don't know if there is a way to use another code, but that's the code I learned, and that's the code I use. You know, what we are doing here is Vex, by the way. If you press Alt-E, you will get this particular window. This is the coding window. So basically what we are doing is we are doing coding. You can promote attribute in Bob and then apply the code into the sub level. That's good to know for us. Let me check it out. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think also Aman has something to show you for those who want to work with Maya.
Yeah.
Aman, are you here? Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Though we have only half an hour left, but I think we can speed it up a bit. So let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I start, has anyone ever, worked on this software before? Does anyone have any knowledge about it? Anyone?
Briefly used it, but mainly using 3ds Max instead.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Let me just share the Miro board first. Okay, so let me know when you guys can see the board.
I can see it.
All right, cool. Okay, so introduction to Maya. Well, the first day I was thinking of going more into low poly modeling. Not sure if you guys are familiar with poly modeling, but it's something very manual which you do. But in this case, we can also try to make it a bit procedural by using different sorts of reformers and stuff, which I'll be explaining. But yeah, the main topic we should be focusing on are the faces, the edges, and the vertices of objects in poly modeling. And the subtopics which we'll be covering is like there's a whole list that goes on, which is multi-cuts and edge loops, which I can again explain. So what the timeline is going to be like, the first day course, it's going to be more about the interface and how we understand the software and to use what when. I feel is very important for us because not everyone can do everything on Houdini and not everything can happen in the software. So it's really important to know which software to use when. And I'll be showcasing an example of how I used something. I started off from a base model in Maya, and then I worked my way up to Houdini and to create something like a very abstract form. So day 2 will be, going more into detailing about introduction of Go poly modeling and the use of deformers. And day 3 will be going into simulations and end cloud simulations and going over animations and stuff, which is very, very cool. So I guess the third is going to be a bit more intensive for us. The fourth day will be going into UV mapping and UV texturing, which I feel is very important for game design and stuff. If we want to actually move into Unreal Engine, we need to know how to map our objects. So we won't be, I won't be mapping a very complex, because it may take me hours. So I'll just show you the basics of how it's done, and then maybe you can, just do something about it with your objects. And then, yeah, the 5th day will be your own design and how you flex on us for work. All right, so I think this is pretty much how the report looks like. I think I can just go over the requirements. I'll go over after I discuss Maya. 1 second, just share my screen again. All right. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So if you open Maya, it should look like this. If not, you can just go to Windows, Workspaces in general. It's going to give you like a general setup. So what's important is you need an outliner. So you go to the Windows and an outliner. So what an outliner is basically shows you all the objects and stuff that you have on the screen. So it's really, really important. So if you have it as a pop-up, you just have to drag it and just make it snap onto the left-hand side. So your final layout should look like this, where you have the outline here, you have the properties panel on the right, and it's going to change depending on the things that you choose on the screen. On the top over here are the menu bars and everything that we'll be using. And this bar over here is going to give you all the shortcuts to each and every command in Maya. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, I think. And over here at the bottom is basically for, effects and simulation, which we'll be covering. Okay, so, right. So if I have to give you an introduction of it, so how you move stuff on the screen. So if you just left click and you move, it's not going to move because it's like selection mode. So you hold Alt and you click on the left hand mouse. So it's going to rotate your screen. If you want to pan around the screen, you just have to click the middle mouse button. Oh, sorry, the Alt and middle mouse button, and you can move around. And if you want to go zooming in and zooming out, you just hold Alt and the right mouse, which is pretty simple. So everything you do is holding Alt, basically. Right. So let's start off by introducing a simple sphere. So this is going to be very, very quick, just for ones who haven't used the software. So when you introduce an object onto the scene, it's going to look like this. So in this case, we used a cube. And over here, you can immediately see you have an attribute editor, you have a channel box, which is basically, again, the properties of your object. So these two work hand in hand. You have the modeling toolkit based on all the things that you want to choose. So if I choose the face mode, I can only select the faces of the object. If I select the vertices, I can just select each and every vertices. And in case if you want to select everything, at the same time, just click multi-component, and basically now you can choose either the edges, the faces, or the vertices. Another thing is if you hold right click on your mouse, sorry, so if you hover over the object that you want to edit, and you hold right click, you'll get like a bunch of these options over here of the things that you can do. So here is another quick way of selecting the edges, faces, or the vertices. So this is the quickest way, and this is what most designers do. So if I just want to quickly go over the face mode, I just have to right click and just shoot it down. And basically I enter these codes. And to go back to the mode which was in the beginning, by default, it's the object mode. So in the object mode, we can just select the entire thing and do nothing except move, rotate, and scale. Now, move, rotate, and scale. To move something, you have to click W as a shortcut, and you get this gumball, and you can move stuff around. You click on E to get the rotation. So you can again rotate it however you want, and R is for scale. Very simple. So W, E, R, remember these. All right. I think that's good for basics. Okay, and there's one more important thing. If so, by default, all the objects are in the hard model mode, which is if you click on number 1, it's not going to change anything because it's by default clicked on number 1. If you click on number 3, it's going to give you a smooth mode of your object. So it's not going to smooth the object, but it's just going to show you how it would look like once it's smoothened. And if you click on 2, you get both the modes. So the one on the blue highlight is what your object actually is, and the one in the middle is basically going to be your smooth version of your object. And if you want to smooth your entire object, you just have to again go over it, and in this case you hold shift and you click right click, and you get all the options which we can do with this particular. So in this case, I want to go for smooth. And in this case, it's going to create like a bunch of subdivisions around the box and make it into like more of like a sphere. So you'll get this small pop-up as well. So by default, it's like just smoothened it by the first division. You can go to 2, and the max, I think you can go to 3. Anything above 3, it works, but it's not recommended. But if you have a powerful laptop, then sure, you can go to like 4 or 5, but don't go to like 15 or something. It's just going to crash. So this is basically the basics of everything. I think so. Anything else? No, I think we can just go over and start the exercise. So okay, so in this, I want to show you how we can create something which is like very manually made into and by using reformers and stuff, we can create this very sort of intricate sort of an abstract model or an alien like model. And then again, by using reformers, we can really start to see very crazy results and going like a really wild. I'll be explaining all this, so don't worry. This is just to show, and in the end, you can also create like these animations. Like maybe this is like some sort of an alien, sort of a bird. Maybe, I don't know. It could be anything like. So this is what we will be doing. Of course, I cannot teach everything now in like half an hour. yeah, in half an hour I can't teach everything, but okay, so but I think it's going to continue all the way now. So, and then after that, when I take this to Houdini now, I'm going to show you the power of, knowing when to switch softwares. So I take this model, which I created on Maya over here at the end, So I take this and, I use the stuff which Pedro was teaching, like with the noise and stuff. And at the end, I can come up with, something like this, which again can be procedurally built, like however you need it. Yeah. And then, yeah, okay. Okay, so I think we can get started really quick. So today I'll just be showing you the Maya workflow and maybe going a bit into reformers. So, okay, so you have, let's start. Okay, so if your object is really far, you can just press F and it's going to like zoom in. So that's another shortcut, but let's start off by introducing. Okay, so if I go over the object and I click on Shift, okay, so there's two types of things how we can divide the model. So the first one is edge loops, which in many softwares it's there, and it's basically creating edge loops around your entire model. So now it's divided into a lot of different phases. So if I again right click into phase mode, now I have all these phases which I made with the edge loops. But there's another way which I use a lot. It's not through edge loops. I'll show you why. It's actually through multi-cut. So it works similar, but it's just that you need to, in order to make it like an edge loop, you have to hold Control Shift, and basically then it's going to give you, an edge loop over stuff. But in this case, it's also going to give you the percentage of how much are you cutting from each edge. So this is what I use the most. You can go ahead and use edge loops if you want. And if you don't want this sort of a snapping sort of a thing, you can just hold Control and you get a very, percentages with floating numbers and stuff. So it's up to you. But I think in this case, I like to keep things consistent. So I'll just, be creating edge loops around. And now I get models like this, so I can select different sort of faces. Just go back and check what I actually did over here. Okay. So what I did do is not using edge loops, oopsies, at the start. But it's basically, okay, so if I shift, right click, it's gonna, we can actually use another way. Okay, let's go to the vertex mode. Okay, and now I can choose all the vertices of my object. So let's hold the left click on your mouse, and it should select all of the vertices. Right, and after that, we can shift, right click, and it's going to give you the options that we can do now only on the vertex mode. So you have average vertices, chamfer, delete, which I don't think we use, but in this case, we want to chamfer it. And basically what it's going to do is just going to chamfer the edges of an object, as you can see over here. It's very cool little thing. And if you want, you can again change these if you want, but it's better to leave it as it is. Or if you want to go really I mean, if you want, you can. So I go back to object mode, and now I want to go to face mode. And in this, I want to select all the chamfers which I've made. Oh, and the way you do it is you click one, and then you rotate by using Alt, and then you shift click the other, and that you can select all your stuff. Right. So after everything is selected, I shift right click again, and I basically go to extrude face. Now it brings another pop-up menu, which is very, very important. And what we can do with this is you can either, so in our case, what we want to do is we want to go to local translate Z. So what it means is it's going to extrude on the Z axis of every face, meaning it's going to take the normal and it's going to extrude on the Z axis, which is what we want. And thickness also does that, but in some cases, you just need to remember that the local translate Z is working with normals. So let's say I want to just extrude it by 1 unit. Right. So now we've created something like this, and it's always good to keep it all consistent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything in object mode, and I'm going to the shortcut to duplicate an object is Control D, and you can see over here immediately once I press Control D, it's going to give me another P cube 2. So at the moment it's like on top of it. So we can again click W and move it out. And so you have it over here. So it's good to keep progress of everything that you do. So and it's also good to double click on the outliner of your objects and just write names, and naming conventions are very important. So let me just name it first gen. This is the second gen. So in this one, what I want to do is I want to use multi-cut, which I explained earlier. And oh, by the way, you can also use multi-cut with the vertices. So if you click on this vertex, and if you click on the other one and you click enter, you basically create a triangular mesh. And if you go to face mode, you can see it. But it's always good to keep everything in quads, though in this case it's not, but it's really important to keep everything in quads. And I can fix this issue later, but for now we can go to multi-cut. And again, Control Shift, and I want to just slice it up 50%, so I know that this side and this side is equal intervals, and I'm going to do it for each and everything. Oh, and if someone is thinking of how I found this method, it's basically just through trial and error. So that's what's really amazing about Maya. It's just that we can explore a lot of stuff by just extruding and creating multi-cuts and creating a lot of crazy stuff. Right. So oops, got this one. Right. So now everything should be multi-cutted. Yeah. Okay. So now we have this entire model, which is 52% multi-cut on the edges. We go to face mode, and what I'm going to show you now is how. Okay, so for that, let's click 3 and see how it's going to look like if we smoothen out the object. So it looks like this at the moment. Okay, not bad. We're getting there. I want to go to face mode now, and what I want to do is I want to connect all these extrusions with each other. And how I'm going to do it in a very organic way is if I want to connect this face to this face, I simply click one and I shift click the other and hold shift again and the right mouse and go to bridge. And you can immediately see it's going to bridge everything. And over here are options, but it's best that we don't use them because it may give a messy result, I think. But yeah, okay, let's just leave it as it is. Okay, so this is our first bridge element, and how we can view it is, again, if you go on object mode and click 3, we can see it's perfectly attached, because you can see it's a very continuous, smooth transition between this leg and the other leg. So that's good. So similarly over here, what we want to do with this one, we want to go inside. So I want to connect this inner with this inner face. And now the shortcut. Now, okay, so the last used command for me was a bridge faces. And if I want to use that again in the next, I don't have to always go to shift and again bridge faces. I can just click on G. So G for grapes, or G for God. And you can see now this is going to be connected to this. So now if I go to object mode and if I click on 3, you can see now that how, we get very interesting organic sort of object. Right. So let's quickly do it for all the faces. Just click on G here. Click on this. Click on this. On this. Right. So let's see what we got at the end. Let's click on 3. And something that's very hard to understand for my mind, but it looks cool. So we go with it. Okay, so again, very important to record. So click on it and Control D to have another thing, and maybe we can go for 10. So it's good that we keep everything like we keep a history of all the things that we have done, because it's going to show us how we have taken the most basic shape and evolved our design into a very complex form. So it's good for having diagrams and stuff. So we will be asking you to showcase how you have reached your result. So be mindful of that. The question, do you have to use Maya or is 3ds Max also acceptable? It's acceptable. 3ds Max is acceptable, yes. Any software which you want to use, it's acceptable, but it's good if you explore new softwares if you haven't. But that's totally up to you. But yeah, if you can reach your desired shapes with your software, then please go ahead. Right. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Okay. Now, the cool thing is now, of course, if I continue to manually, create multi-cuts and stuff, it's going to take me a whole day to create one model. So what I use, which is like very, very handy, is I use the mirror component a lot. So what we can do is we can first of all go to 3, go to smooth mode, and we shift right click, go to the mirror, and by default it's gonna the axis position of it is going to be on the world coordinate, so it's going to go all the way to the world coordinate, so it's going to be really far off. So it's better you use, if you click on world and go to bounding box, so it's more closer to your object. And here you can see how here, yeah, so direction is either plus or minus. So if you go in one direction or the other. It's up to you. So you can see over here how easily it is to, morph different geometries into one and make them like very, very, complex, which, a lot of people can't do. Okay, so you have in this, what I use the most is the axis position, first of all, just for bounding. I use the axis a lot. So it's either X, Y, or Z, basically all the sides. But in this case, I think I'll go with X. Got a question? Yeah. Right. So yeah. So let's see over here. Now, if you're done with your first thing, I've pretty much made something like this, and yeah. Yes. So okay, and the thing is, if you see that your objects is a bit jaggery and a bit, pixelated, what you can do is you can go to the attribute editor on the right. I think if you have channel box, just click on the attribute editor. And the second tab, you'll see over here, you have tessellation attributes, mesh controls, tangent spaces, smooth mesh. So you go to smooth mesh, and by default, the preview division is set to 2. So if you set to 3, you can immediately see that, like from a very, rough sort of a preview, we go to a very smooth preview. So that's good. But since my laptop isn't so good, I'm just going to use the 2 for now, because it may or may not affect your final output. Oh, right. So again, I'm gonna duplicate this and go to new generation. So let's type 4gen. And in this one, what I want to do, I just want to error it again, because I feel that if I error based on this axis, I'll get something really cool. But that's all up to you. Like, you can just explore however that you want. So again, I want to go to bounding box, and yeah, something like, or something like this would be cool. Yeah, okay, I think we can work with this. Right, so already we have a lot of stuff made. Again, Control D and go to my oh my god, just get the spelling of it just for sake of it. Let's go like that. Okay, so in this case, I created the model which I want to do, but it's really very symmetrical. So I need to like give it a bit of try to make it a bit more unique and very asymmetrical in a very good way. So what we can do is we can go to, do I have this? Just hide floating panel. Okay, yeah. So okay, so I think in the top over here, you should have the modeling set. So you have different sorts of customization to your workspace. If you want to get into animation, it's going to change all the drop down over here on the top. But for the moment, we want to go to modeling and we want to go to reform. And here we want to click on the lattice and click this box over here, which gives you a pop-up of what you want. Everything else stays the same. Just the division is the most important over here. So I think what we can do is we can just go to 3 by 3 by 3, and I'll show you what this means. And if I create this, oh, actually it's over there. So, okay, so you have to click on your object and go to deform and lattice, again 3 by 3, and it's basically going to give you this sort of wireframe ornament box. And the way lattice works is you basically take each points of this, and you can move around stuff, and based on that the geometry is going to deform more. So if you click on lattice, and if you right click, hold, and you go on top hitting the lattice points, you can edit any of these. So what I want to do is I want to maybe select the top most over here and go and click on W. So I can really, move stuff around. And basically now it's all up to you how you want your geometries to be like. You don't have to make them like how it is at the moment. It'll be really cool if you can, explore a lot of stuff that goes on. So say I want to probably, yeah, that's one problem which I don't like, because once I get into this, I really want to make this look as cool as possible, but I think I should stop. Okay, yeah, let's just stop over here, even though I don't like it, but it looks fine. Okay, so now the thing is you can't move this, because if you move this, at the moment this entire geometry is just being influenced by a lattice that you created. So in order, if you have made your final shape and you want to move it out of this box, you click on it, and again Control D to create a duplicate, and then you move. So now you can move the duplicate of it outside, and this you can keep on editing however you like. But yeah, we are going to be working on this, even though I may spend some time on this later. Okay, so now what all things we can do with this? We can do many stuff. We can either go for the usual mirroring option, which I've used. So if I go here, you can create very cool sort of stuff that you like. And then again, you can apply a lattice and again change the shapes. So it's a very quick way, this entire way, to create very complex models. But I kind of like this. Oh, and at the moment, all of this was in 3 modes. So if you click on number 1, it's going to go to your at the moment how your model is at the moment. So it's like this actually. So we'll have to smoothen out to actually look like this. But before that, I just want to show you, we can also do post-production on this as well. So again, I can go to my multi-cut, and I can create cuts over here if I want, and if I want to bridge something from here to here, I can do that as well. So it's just going to make it more you in a way. But yeah, I think we can. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let me, this was 1, and let's just bring this back. So I just created another duplicate. I want to work with this because I feel like that's over. Okay, so another thing which I forgot to tell you, how to move this snapper that we have. So at the moment, as you can see, it's not in the middle of your geometry, and you want it to always be in the middle or wherever you want it to be. And how we can change that is, so if you want to make it, if you want to shift this into the middle of your object, you just have to click on W, so you get this gizmo. If you click on E, so E for dog, then you get this sort of a thing, which is going to be showing you the globe. Now you hover in the middle and you hold a right click on your mouse and you just put reset pivot position. So at the moment, so now it shifts exactly to the middle of your object. Let's do it again, because it was really confusing when I learned it first time. Okay, so you go back here, you click on D for dog. You go in the middle, you hover in the middle, and you right click, go to reset pivot position. And you click T again to come out of that globe edit mode of the gizmo. Now you can move it. So if you click on D, we can just change the gizmo around. So if I want to keep it there, and if I click D again, now my gizmo is always going to be over here. And I can, use that. So if in case you want to move it to a specific point, you can go like that. So I want to go back here. Another important tip is if I want to snap my gizmo to any one of the vertices of my object, I click on V again. Now I hold V, V for Vendetta. Bad example, but yeah, sure. You hold V, then you middle mouse click, and you hold both the middle mouse and the V. And now it's going to snap on every vertex of your object. So let's do that again, because it's so interesting. You click on D. Now you hold V for Vendetta, and you hold your middle mouse, and now it's going to snap to any vertex point of your object. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you click on D again to go back to your mode, and if you want it to be in the middle, you just have to go back, reset, and that's it. So now it's in the middle. So I think, well, it's already time, and I don't want to exceed a lot of time for all. So I think we can stop here for the Maya. It will be good if you're going to use Maya. It'll be good to explore a lot of different shapes that you want with the mirror function and lattice. It'll be really cool if you can come up with a concept or a model by tomorrow for us to see how your ideas are going to approach. But I think you can discuss that with Pedro right now. So I think I'm done. And I'll share this file with you guys if you want. So let's share. Okay, Pedro, are you here?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So I lost my screen.
Cool.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Nice. Thank you, Aman. Thank you so much. I've been talking with Abdullah in the chat. He's interested in using 3ds Max, and it's completely okay for those who want to use another type of software. They're welcome.
Yeah, sure.
There is no problem with it. I also shared in the. Can I share a screen, please? A little bit. Just a second.
Sure.
I'm sharing. I think. I placed in the board.
Where are you?
Am I sharing a screen?
No, I don't think so.
I will do again. But I think you need to stop sharing screen.
Yeah, I think I hid my floating menu. I can't find it right now.
Okay, let me, I think I can.
Oh, wait, let me go zoom. I think.
Let me see how
Wait,
can I
that's
do it,
weird.
because I think I can stop you.
Yeah, stop it,
Screen.
please.
I cannot find that option. I think, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nice.
Stop me.
Yeah, we know a lot about procedural design, but not how to use Zoom. Impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, now you should be able to see my screen, right? Please, if you cannot see my screen, just let me know. I placed the links from Houdini for you to download. Even the last exercise from I don't know who was about the attribute animation. I place it here to download it. So what we're going to do, we just explained what we're going to design. I mean, the idea of the Museum of Alien Life is just an excuse for designing, of course. Regarding the metaverse, we can design whatever we want to do, however we want to do. So we just set some theoretical concepts about it, and in our design excuse will be the Museum of Alien Life. What kind of Museum of Alien Life? Here next to the poster, you will see that we place a video, this one. I don't know how many of you knows about this this guy, this artist who call itself Melody Ship. This guy creates really astonishing animations and videos. So we decided to use this second volume of his video about the Museum of Alien Life as an inspirational board. So look at it, because it's really impressive how he imagines life in outer space, but life not based, not carbon based, but silicon based. So just it's a really interesting video for you to see. It longs like it's about 30 minutes long. So we really suggest you to watch it later at home. Maybe if you have bigger screens in your home, try to look at it, because if you have a 4K screen, do it, please. So the idea is to design a subject that could be an avatar, could be a living entity. I won't say animals, but just a living entity. You can design an object that could be, for example, a prosthesis, could be a floating object, could be even a sculpture. It depends on you. You can design both a subject plus its object, and even you can design its space. So you can choose for designing even from the living entity. You can add it a kind of second layer that could be a prosthesis, could be an object that is attached to it, and the subject plus the object could be inside a smaller space. You can also design the space. But the idea here is that we actually have like we already have the museum, in where we will share it this model later, in where we have these small bubbles. So we will place every object of yours inside every bubble. The idea of procedural design was because our museum, this is basically the base idea of the museum, is that the museum is a dynamic museum. So it has the possibility to mutate and change. So the idea to maintain it procedurally was to always maintain us organized. So depending on where you choose to place your model, it always can be attached to the main model, but it doesn't matter at the end. If you prefer to use another type of software like 3ds Max, that's okay. We will manage at the end of these 5 days. So is it okay what I said, or did I sound too complex? I think I explained it clear, but for now, tomorrow, I think Aman put something. Yes, the requirements here. Thank you. So the idea, first of all, is please watch this video. I think this video is mandatory for all of us to get inspired, to see textures, to see colors, to see forms, to see dynamics. Look at them. Look at this video. So for tomorrow, we expect at least every one of you could have very clear references about what you want to do, and your first 3-dimensional experiments. You can do it with files we send to you, you can do it. You can do your own approach. You can surprise us as well. As Aman put here, go wild, please. On the second day, at the end of the second day, we will try to get 3-dimensional assets. So on day 3 and 4, we will be in charge to create a collection of it. Okay, to be ready to be minted. So that's the goal. That's the goal. So by tomorrow we will be solving, of course, the crypto wallet part, because right now we don't have more time. We all want you to rest for this day. So I don't know if it's clear. I don't know if you have additional questions related to the presentation, related of what we expect to do during the next days, or is everything okay? The idea is just to get fun, by the way.
Yeah, the idea is just to have fun. So if there are any questions, please.
Someone asked about to create a Discord channel. I don't know if you did it.
Yeah, I'll probably create it tonight and I'll send you guys the link.
If you have it, you can share. So every one of you guys can talk to each other if you are interested in doing groups of 2, not more than 2, please.
Yeah,
I think
please.
2 is maximum. 3 is too much.
Yeah, I mean, we do advise that everyone goes solo as well, because it'll be a good experience to go all the way from some modeling stage to the visual effects. So it's not compulsory to go solo, but if you want to go in groups, you can. But I'm just saying that if you do go solo, you learn more. So that's, otherwise everything's up to you, since it's a very fun workshop.
Yeah, nice. Well, now I will be stopping the stream in YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, guys, I think